About all of this, Jeff Mason, the White House correspondent for Reuters, Arshi Siddiqui, a former senior aide to former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and now a Democratic strategist, and Rob Bluey, the president and executive editor of the Daily Signal. And Jeff, to add all of these complications in, it's a special election, and there could be snow in the forecast in Tennessee tomorrow. I mean, what does this tell us about the state of politics 11 months before next year's midterm, that a seat like this could even be slightly competitive?
Well, I was going to start by saying I'm not going to comment on the snow. As a Coloradan, I'm always for snow. But actually, it actually matters on a day like that because snow and weather impact turnout. So I bet that's
especially in a place that's not used to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what does it tell me? I mean, it tells me that the election we saw a few weeks ago, where Democrats did really well, was not. It's probably indicative of broader things. I mean, surely if you are looking at a state like Tennessee and you cited the statistics of how strongly both the president and Republicans won that district in that state a year ago, if they are struggling to get a Republican over the finish line, then Republicans, at least right now, are in trouble. And that's got to be concerning in the White House, and it's got to be concerning in Speaker Johnson's office.
So, Arshi, does this mean that Democrats have to win tomorrow? Would anything short of a victory be a disappointment?
No, absolutely not. I think it's all about the margin of victory. And I think what's interesting about the point that you made is that there have been a lot of resources put into this race. So you look at a few months ago when the Florida race earlier this year, it was more, it seems like longer than that. But in Florida, they had some warning signals and then really put resources, got some star power down to Florida, and it just really leveled, steadied the ship. Now, in this instance, we're talking about a totally different ballgame where we had a month ago, he was up 8 points, Van Epps. Now it's 2 points. We're within margin of error territory. So I think despite the president really doubling down, Speaker Johnson, millions of dollars going into the district.
Yeah, Speaker Johnson's there today, Rob. President Trump's going to do a tele-rally with the speaker. If, for some reason, Ben does pull this out, and it's a big if, no doubt, who would be to blame? Would it be President Trump? Would it be congressional Republicans? Where would the blame lie? I'm sure there'll be a lot of finger pointing.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, Ryan. I mean, I've blamed congressional Republicans for months, including, I probably sound like a broken record on the show, because I don't think that they have done an effective job of talking about all of the benefits and the things that they've passed with the One Big Beautiful Bill. If you go back to what President Trump said, the reason they wanted to get that done by July 4th was precisely so they would have time to talk about it and they would start to see the effects of that early in 2026. And you've spent the bulk of this show talking about what? National security, foreign policy issues. We know from polling in that district that the economy and affordability is the #1 and #2 issue that voters care about.
It's not just congressional Republicans that aren't talking about it, though, right? Neither is the president. There was no across the country, campaign to kind of tout the benefits of the bill. Isn't he at least partly to blame for it?
Sure, I would like to see the president talking about it more as well. I think you worked in Congress, right, on some major pieces of legislation, and we know that presidents sometimes have a tough job of getting it to the finish line. Once they do, then selling it to the American people can also be a challenge. We saw what the consequences were in 2010 after the passage of Obamacare. We saw that what the consequences were also for Joe Biden in his what he was trying to do, Ryan. So I think that President Trump has time to recover from this, but the clock is ticking.
Yeah, and we're already starting to see congressional Republicans kind of run for the hills a little bit here, Jeff. We saw Marjorie Taylor Greene announce that she's leaving in January. Now Troy Nehls of Texas, perhaps one of the most staunchest supporters of President Trump in Congress, say that he's not going to run. His twin brother is, which they often joke that if one of them went on the floor, you wouldn't know who was voting anyway. But is this just normal attrition from the party that controls the House, or is there something more to this?
I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene is attrition. I just don't think you can argue that. I mean, the fact that somebody who is as staunch a supporter as she was, and in many cases, in many ways still is deciding to bail is a sign of deep concern within the Republican ranks. And again, another really bad sign for President Trump going into the midterms.
And his approval numbers right now, Rob, are just 2 points higher than they were after January 6th. When you talk about him trying to sell what he's accomplished and sell things like the big, beautiful bill. Isn't it a lot more difficult when you're already starting at a deficit like he is right now?
Sure, and I think one of the most important poll numbers to look at is how Americans view their personal finances. And unfortunately, those numbers have deteriorated over the course of the past few months. So they are seeing not only the effects right during the holiday season when they're probably going to be needing to spend a little bit more money on friends and family for Christmas presents and things like that. So yes, the president does need to be concerned about that. I think that the way you get around this is, again, I go back to what I said. They passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in December of 2017, and the effects of that didn't go into play largely in time for them to make stop those catastrophic losses in the 2018 midterms. He can still do that, Ryan. I think he needs to be on the stump, though, talking about what the benefits are and whether the American people will see.
And the question is, can Democrats capitalize on it, right, Arshi? I mean, they've shown an inability sometimes to not take advantage of when their opponents not doing well politically. I mean, how did Democrats hone in on this affordability message and then make a compelling case to the American people that is more than just we're not Donald Trump?
No, absolutely. And I think the one thing on the Democratic side, because being a big tent party has its challenges, no doubt. So you always see a spirited debate. But I do think Democrats really did learn their lessons from the last cycle. And you saw the members of Congress in the House and Senate who were successful, they all were laser focused on their districts and states. And so on affordability, it's going to mean different things in different states. And I think that's how Democrats come back. And it is very much with a positive agenda.
Okay, so Rob, I want to play for you what President Trump said yesterday. He doubled down on this slur that he used to describe Minnesota Governor Tim Walz last week. This is what the president said late yesterday.
Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
You don't think that
You have a problem with it? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into his state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
I mean, we know how President Trump handles these situations, right? He never apologizes.
Right.
But does it make sense to double down on this, or should have at least downplayed it or maybe tried to explain it a little better?
Tim Walz has been a punching bag for Donald Trump for over a year now, let's face it. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily surprised on this. And we also know that on the issue of immigration and some of those questions, President Trump is extremely hawkish. So I'm not particularly surprised. I don't necessarily know that the president's going to shift course either, Ryan.
But are you okay with it?
Okay with what? Him?
That language.
Using that word.
No, I wouldn't use that language personally. No, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, but are we getting desensitized to this, Jeff? Is the question I'm going to ask. I mean, it seems as though he makes these, you called a reporter a piggy. I mean, you've been in the room where he's gone after some of your fellow White House colleagues, and we just kind of say, well, that's just Trump being Trump. After what's been almost 15 years of this, are we just not even, does it not even register anymore?
I've got two answers to that. I mean, I think from a reporter's perspective, we have a different job when we get arrows like that from the president. I've certainly gotten some as well. And our job is just to keep reporting the news and reporting the truth and not becoming the story. The president makes that hard sometimes because he tries to make us the story, but that is definitely not our job. I do think it's our job, and that's one reason I just asked you that question, is to ask the people who do have a role in having an influence over society or over dialogue or over the public discourse to weigh in on whether they think it's okay. And a lot of people aren't. So I think that's interesting. Whether people have gotten desensitized, I think anecdotally the answer to that question is probably yes.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to leave it there, guys. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Arshi, Rob, Jeff. Is that your name?
That's it.
We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Meet the Press Now. There's always more news ahead on NBC News Now. Thank you so much for joining.